Dan.
I can call the meeting to order. I appreciate it. We have a Mass Transit Committee meeting on June 27th, 2016, and our minutes of our last meeting are printed for you on the second sheet. If I can get a motion on the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Gil, second by Peter. Any discussion? All in favor of the minutes?
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. It's unanimous. The minutes are passed. Today, we're having a meeting with John O'Donnell. Thank you, John, for coming. And, it is a discussion. There's a lot of issues that I have with the airport authority, and I want them, I want to discuss them and get a further update. The fact that we haven't met since March, really concerns me as a committee. I don't want us to lose our relevance as a committee. So I thought it was a good idea that we get John in here. And I would appreciate a presentation from you first, if you could, John, and on the latest with the airport. And, I have questions, you know that.
Okay,
And,
sure. I've got a very brief presentation that I'll offer. And thank you for inviting us to your committee. We're available anytime that you'd like a presentation. If you want to do an annual one, we surely could do that with boards or have you out to the airport, whatever your preference is. Of course, we'd love to have you, and we'd welcome you out there, and we can put you on a shuttle bus and tour you around if you wish. Just let us know your preference, and we'll make the appropriate accommodations. I do have just a brief presentation, which I'll go through. Let me start with our success story at the airport. Last year, our enplanements were up 5.5%, which was a very good year considering the other airports in the Northeast were just about flat. This year, we're up 10.2% in 2016. That's the first months of this calendar year. And if you look at Buffalo, Rochester, Syracuse, and Bradley, they range from down 2% to about flat. So we're having a very robust year. And we believe it's attributable to JetBlue. JetBlue started 2 flights to Florida, 1 flight direct to Orlando, 1 flight to Fort Lauderdale. In addition, American is flying 3 daily flights to Chicago. And United and our other airlines are also increasing capacity. Our total seat capacity this year is up 16%, which means the total number of seats available for the passengers to buy are up quite significantly. So it's not surprising that our enplanements are up 10%. We'd like to actually be up higher. We did budget 8.8% increase in the number of people flying this year. So we're doing very, very well from an enplanement perspective. Financially, we're doing even better. The airport seems to put itself in a very good position through a lot of business arrangements with we have a variety of tenants. For example, our rental income is $4.5 million per year, and that's growing. We're the landlords to like the state police, air cargo, the air traffic control tower, and we do hold 50 buildings out at the airport, and we continue to build 1 or 2 buildings every year. So our rental incomes will increase as time goes on, which makes us the lowest airport for a cost per enplaned passenger. That's how the airlines measure our value, and we finished last year, 2015, at $6.50, which means that the airlines have to pay us $6.50 for each passenger that gets on an aircraft. To give you an example, Syracuse, Rochester, and Buffalo are about $11 cost per enplaned passenger. So you can see how the airlines truly would welcomes our management style and our ability to keep costs low. What we're working on these days is a grant, a $40 million grant. You may have heard of it. The governor's made a couple of announcements. And the governor's offered $200 million in a grant competition. And you're familiar with the consolidated funding applications and the grants that he's had out there. This one's allocated strictly to upstate airports. There's about 13 to 15 airports competing, and the grant allocations can be up to $40 million. It's primarily designated to commercial service or cargo airports. There are only 7 or 8 commercial service airports in upstate New York. And that's including small airports like Elmira, Ithaca, Binghamton, Plattsburgh, of course, Syracuse, Buffalo, Rochester, and ourselves. Did I say Plattsburgh?
Yes.
Okay, and there's basically like 12 or 13 airports in the real competition. So we've been working day and night trying to get the best application. They've only given us a month to put together this application. So we've got certain things in there that we're featuring. I believe Doug Myers has had this out in the press. We're looking at adding a parking garage, revenue control equipment for parking, wayfinding technology, and passenger amenities, upgrade the interior of the terminal, another building, another hangar for Commute Air for the private flyers, private aircraft owners. We're out of space there. Commute Air is, you may have followed that in the news. They maintain regional jets at the airport. They've added 75 jobs and relocated from Cleveland about a year and a half ago. And they're asking us to participate in their growth and expansion program in which they've indicated they'd be adding another 150 jobs. And these are mechanics. They're going to be maintaining 40 regional jets in the region within the next 18 months, and they anticipate doubling that to 80 regional jets. So they fly under the banner. If you ever see their aircraft, they fly under the banner of United Express, and they fly what they're called ERJ 145s, which is a 70-passenger small regional jet. So we're excited about working with them under expansion towards this grant, because the governor's always interested in expanding businesses, expanding growing jobs. So we're going to put them into our grant program as well. We did receive, not us, but New York State DOT did receive funding for the Exit 4, $50 million. They're advancing the design of that. They're also completing the archaeological reviews and studies. The New York State DOT has indicated that they'll start construction in 2019. We believe they may improve that time frame because the design documents could be ready as soon as let's say mid-2017. I'll just summarize by saying that if you followed the news today, we had an art theft. That goes to show you how valuable that art is at the airport. Someone's actually going to look to steal it. But the Albany County Sheriffs, if you're watching the news, and you watch it tonight, you'll see that they caught two bandits trying to make off with a piece of art out of our art gallery. And you got to wonder about these individuals, because there's cameras in every single place in the airport, and they were caught before they left the parking lot. So, it's unfortunate. I always say that the only reason why they probably did anything like that, they were probably drinking or something. It was on a bet or a lark, because you just don't do something like that at an airport. But they did get caught, and I spoke to the sheriff today about the press release, and he was kind to the airport, because you always have to be careful about how you're viewed in the media. So that's my overview. If any questions, I'll gladly answer them. If you want to talk about any other subjects, please let me know.
Let me start out, if you don't mind.
Sure.
In terms of the air traffic controllers building that was supposed to come up here, that's totally off the table, and they're not. We don't get any part of that.
No, that was Senator Schumer was involved in that decision, and he was opposed to having it in Albany, and he actually facilitated a decision through the FAA to keep those structures, those buildings, and those jobs down in Long Island where they originally housed. So they won the competition, so to speak. We did a lot of work. We offered, the county and the airport. The county offered 40 acres of land. We were ready to bring them up there. It would have been a great boon with the hundreds of jobs, and just the spin-off value of that, economic value, and of that would have been so good for the region. But no, they want to keep it in Long Island. So
I see your boardings are up 11.5% on the airplane boardings, and it's been growing, your traffic's been growing pretty solidly. In terms of the security in the lines, are those lines extra big? How are we doing with
I get a
processing
report, I get a report monthly on the length of time that people wait in lines, and this is not for public consumption.
people? Okay.
Yeah, well, I'll try to say it in such a way that people don't change their behavior, because the one thing that we do want people to do, we want them to arrive at the airport 90 minutes before their flight.
Right.
Without giving too much away. If you come to the airport and wait more than 15 minutes in a checkpoint line, we would be surprised. But that is something that we do not want to get out into the media, because we do at times have waits of up to 19 minutes.
Did you say 50 or 19?
15, 1-5.
Oh, okay.
That's not-
So, but we don't guarantee that. We are very fortunate to have a well-functioning TSA. If you do, this is only the checkpoint line. Sometimes in early morning, the lines at the airline ticketing areas, they can be a half an hour. So you have to add that to your 15 minutes. So you're talking 45 minutes, and you want time for coffee and maybe a little breakfast. Now, just what I will say that what I find very interesting is checkpoint opens up at 3:15 a.m. The airline ticketing offices open up at 3:15, and our first flight that leaves Albany is at 5:15. And the question in my mind always is, who would ever get on that flight at 5:15? But it is a Southwest flight to Chicago, and it's usually full.
Wow.
And the next flight is 5:30, and once again, I'm not a fan of getting on a plane at 5:30, and that one goes to Baltimore, and then after 6 o'clock, we have many flights. But I can't imagine that these airlines actually bring people to the airport at such ungodly hours. So, but no, the lines are very reasonable. We're very pleased with the TSA, their performance, and we have a good relationship with the Federal Security Director, and they keep the lines moving very smoothly. We do monitor all that, by the way, as an airport. We actually time the lines, and we also time the opening of every concession.
Mhm.
So we have charts every day on length of wait times in the TSA lines, and also what times each concessionaire opens up at the airport.
Yeah, I saw Orlando, I went through Orlando's airport, and they had a speed line where you actually go faster through their line. I don't know if they're thinking of that.
Well, we have a TSA pre-check line that seems to function pretty well, but even if you don't have that pre-check pass, it moves along quite well.
Joe O'Brien.
Yeah, thank you, Chairman. You mentioned a parking garage, a new
Yes.
parking garage. Where would that conceivably be placed on the property?
We studied, back in 2006, we began preparing studies for additional parking garage capacity, because we've been hitting the maximum number probably 35 days a year where there's absolutely no parking in the front of the terminal. And what we do is we've got some solutions to that, and one of the undesirable solutions is to redirect the people to the shuttle bus lot, the remote parking lot. That's something that we do not enjoy doing, and we try not to do at all. But to get back to the question, is the two locations that we studied is one directly in front between the existing parking garage in D'Alessandro, and that is a 1,500 car parking garage, which we studied, and that's a 5-level. The second area that we studied is directly south of our administration building, if you know where that is.
Yeah.
It's going south towards the Millionaire facility, and that would be a 1,000-car garage. We're opting to do the latter garage, the 1,000-car garage. One is because it's less disruptive to the total parking experience, whereas we build the large. In 2005, we were more prepared to build a larger garage because our numbers of parkers was less. And we could displace and have what we call a construction swing space and build that garage without disrupting other parkers. Today, we have so many parkers and there's such a demand on parking that we're opting for this 1,000-car lot because it's less disruptive to the total parking experience. And we think we can build it without disrupting the travelers. So we've included that in
Is there
our
a direct
grant.
link to the airport from that?
Yes, we'll have a bridge, a second-level bridge that goes from the garage into the terminal. Matter of fact, just to give you a little sense of how it will work, is as you're approaching the airport, you go back by the Millionaire Building, and you will bear right into a lane, and that will deliver you to the second level of this new garage. You can park on any level of the garage, but we'll have a second-level bridge, heated, that goes from that garage to the terminal. And then the next, and as that garage fills up, then we'll build that other 1,500-car garage. But that's probably 10 years from now.
Any other carriers that are interested in joining our?
Yeah, Legion's always very interested in Albany. What we're doing right now is, since JetBlue just started in January, we're kind of going on the slow track to bring any new airlines in. We'd like to give JetBlue a year to get stabilized and to fill their seats, because what we don't want to do is bring it took us 15 years to get JetBlue here.
Yeah.
We want to be sure that the load factor is at least 80%. We've had, on their load factors have been over 80%. They've been here 6 months. I'd say 4 months, they've been over 80%. And there was 1 month they were at 70%. So at 70%, they're a borderline airline, which means they could leave. So we're trying to take the slow track and bring in more competition. Once they stabilize, we'll start looking at probably Allegiant.
Is there any thought of them having a direct flight to Myrtle Beach or any other airlines?
Well, Allegiant would be a good airline to go to Myrtle Beach. JetBlue, I don't think they would go to Myrtle Beach. They'd be inclined to go to Fort Myers as their next destination, or Punta Gorda, someplace like that.
And they fly into, they and I think Southwest, they fly into Cuba, or they're going.
Yeah. Yes.
Mr. Kraus?
Thank you, Chairman. John, last year, I think, you conducted a tour for a number of us up at the facility. I think
Yeah.
Chairman, you were on it,
Yeah.
which I found very helpful, and I think with all the changes, perhaps we could do that again.
Absolutely.
How often does your board meet?
They meet about 8 times a year. Many months we meet. It's set up as a monthly meeting, but we take sabbaticals like August. What we do is we meet late July. We take August off. We meet December.
We meet November and December, and then we take January off because of the holidays.
Yeah, we usually take the holiday months off, like January. We'll meet in December, but we take because in order to get ready for the board meeting, it's during the holiday, and we meet on the first Monday of the month. So we take off January.
Do you think it would be helpful for some of your meetings to have members of the committee sit in on?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, are there certain times of year where it would be more productive for us to be there?
Well, last board meeting, we did a tour. That would have been a good one. Because
I'm
the
just
board
thinking
likes to
that,
get out once a month.
It might be interesting, at least for
Yeah,
members of the
absolutely. We
committee,
can invite you out. We can do that,
to
definitely, right?
to come to some of your board meetings. Obviously,
Yeah,
we would let
absolutely.
you know in advance who was coming.
I think you would enjoy the meetings. I believe my board enjoys the meetings. We have a lot of good interaction. You know, you can sit on executive sessions where we talk about property transactions and things like that, which are always very interesting and intriguing.
Okay.
Definitely, we can.
Perhaps you could just let us know when the meetings are.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll
Chairman
do
can
that.
disseminate that information.
I will, thank you.
Thank you, John. You're doing a great job up there.
Thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
Oh,
Thank you.
of course, I got another question.
Yes.
We went over your parking rates.
Yes.
And, you seem to have stabilized. Have you any plans to increase your rates? I feel like kind of.
Yes, we raised, after we met the last time, that was one of the comments, and
Right.
we had a study conducted by a firm, a professional, consulting parking firm, a national firm,
Lee Fisher.
Lee Fisher, and they recommended that we do raise the rates, and they gave us like a two-step plan.
Okay.
Meaning you can raise them one step, then wait a year, another period of time, and go to the second step. And the board, was it November? We implemented it in December. We increased the rates in December. So it was a November board meeting, the authority approved the increased rates, and we implemented them by mid-December. Thank you.
Last question I got, I'm sorry. But, we've got a whole bunch of electric cars out there. Do you have a charging station out there for
We have
electric
6
cars?
charging stations. We have 3 in the surface lot, which we allow the passengers must, 3 in the surface lot, which is a $9 a day lot, and 3 in the second level of the parking garage.
Okay.
And that's a $12 per day rate. And that's a standard rate for everyone. And what we do there is we offer free electric for anyone with an electric car. So they can come in and they can plug in, and there's an app. If you own electric cars, there's an app. I don't own an electric car, but I do know there's an app
I'll
out.
buy one.
And what you can do is the airport's listed on that app,
Yeah.
so that you know where you can go and park to get your electric car charged.
Oh, cool.
And it's the long-term lot parking, and we see some cars out there. It's not 100% full, but it's, maybe half full from time,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm done. Frank?
John, let me ask you a question. You said 1,000 car parking.
Yes,
10 years, you have to go to 1,500
Yes.
additional.
yes.
Is there any way to take 1,000 car parking and build the footing so it could carry some extra levels?
Well, yes, to answer exactly. And we probably will do that. Peter, you'll have to remind, no, we'll write it in our scope. We're in the grant, we've got a preliminary scope. We did that with the 5-car garage that you see there now. It can add 1 additional level. And we explored that because 1 level of the garage is 475 spaces. The problem is that to erect those double Ts or a flat panel system, you have to close the garage. The insurance companies will not allow you to erect precast concrete or any concrete over an occupied parking garage. We can't take that garage down for 3 or 4 months. That's an impossibility. We have rental cars in there, we have short-term parkers, so if we build this garage, like you said, with that additional, levels on top, and fill it, we may get fortunate enough to push the cars over there, and then have the garage vacant for that period of time to build. It's all timing and thinking through these problems. Otherwise, we would displace so many people, and
So at the present time, you do have a garage out there that does have the additional
Yes,
footing
one-
to carry
one level.
if we could shift the cars.
1 level, but the problem is it's 2,500 cars,
Yeah, okay.
which is, it's.
Yeah.
I
It's a
mean,
big
that's-
revenue hit,
That's,
too.
revenue hit, and 2,500 cars is, you can park 200 cars per acre, what's that, 50 acres?
John.
That's a lot of land.
Yeah.
Is it financially feasible, considering that in 5 years, you're gonna have 500 additional cars you're gonna need space for, to put that extra story on now, or 2, whatever?
Well, and then it comes down to the funding aspect of it. I mean, right now, we're looking at a state grant, it's due July 1. If we're successful on this grant, we'll build the garage, and that gives us that space to move the cars, and then we can go and attempt to put on this extra level. That was kind of the bizarre thing about it. We actually went over to Unistress, and we met with those folks, and we thought a simple solution, hey, let's just put this level on. They said, we can't occupy. I said, can we do, and we're in our meetings, and we're saying, well, what we'll do is we'll just build build it in quarters so that I don't disrupt the parking. They said, oh, you won't find an insurance company that will insure that, because it's a thing called progressive collapse. If it starts to go, it could go and do, catastrophic damage. If a double T fell onto the existing deck, that T would collapse the next deck, and,
Do you think the airlines would buy into it
yeah.
and up their
Yeah.
charges a little?
Yeah. Well, we actually, we negotiated a new airline agreement where we've increased our capital contribution by the airline. So that agreement was, we just signed.
A 5-year deal
When did
effective
we just-
January 1st.
Okay, so we have 5 years, so I don't know if they would, they agreed to contribute to our capital program, $3 million a year. One of the highest contributions of any airport that we know of. And the reason being is because of our low cost per plane passenger. So we could work with them and talk
It's
to
a
them
big
about it.
turnaround on the airline's part,
Yeah.
considering that a number of years ago,
Yeah,
it was very hard to get them even to
yeah,
buy in.
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Thank you. We'll definitely do that.
Do you have any solar in your future at the airport?
Yeah, we do.
Steve just applied for something, didn't he?
It's part of the grants. One of the things that the governor wants is a green initiative, so we did include, if you recall, the original terminal building had a passive solar glass, it's a sloped glass. That has never been changed out. We're looking to pull that out and put photovoltaic panels, solar panels on that, because it's at the correct slope.
Oh, good.
So that's part of this grant, is to go with some green initiatives.
Good.
So every box is checked.
Yeah, I'd like to see a solar charging station too.
That would be easy, because it wouldn't be a problem having that.
Great.
Okay.
I don't have any other
Okay.
questions. Anybody else?
No.
John, I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you coming here.
We'll get you out there. Thank you.
Okay, great. Can I have a motion to close? Peter, Joe, thank you. Second.
Thank you.